What used to take months and months of planning and up to $75,000 and hiring coders and finding servers to launch your e-commerce site, you can now do in a day, and it costs you $30 a month.
Yeah.
So it just completely lowered the barriers to getting online. And then they're increasingly going up market. So it's not just SMBs, but people like Staples Canada, Tesla are increasingly using Shopify's platform. So, I think from a fundamental perspective, it really couldn't get much better.
You know what I found interesting about these platform businesses, and I used to be based in Silicon Valley, and ultimately companies are measured based on their quarterly performance. And a lot of these technology companies have this ability to have these monster quarters when they've built the platform and you're just adding to it. Is Shopify in that same camp? I mean, Facebook's adding advertising revenue. Presumably Shopify's adding small businesses and larger businesses that are going to be paying for the use of the platform.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly the case. But in Shopify's case, it's actually amplified. So not only are they adding more customers, so they passed 1 million customers in Q3, they'll be north of 1 million by the end of Q4, but they're adding services as well. So more of their customers are adopting more and more of their services, like Shopify Payments, for example, Shopify Capital, Shopify Shipping. They're going to launch Shopify Fulfillment Network in 2021. I think it'll go mainstream. So you're getting more customers, but you're also driving more revenue per customer. So it's, the impact is amplified.
And you talk about fulfillment, and they've got partners for that, but there's all these increasing moves that make a lot of people look at Shopify and compare it to Amazon, building out this large-scale business, and the company has faced a lot of questions about their own spending and whether that's, a wild card for investors. Where do you weigh in on that?
Well, I mean, I think that both Shopify and Amazon, they compete in the e-commerce space, but they're really not, head-on competitors, right? I think they are mutually accommodating. I mean, Shopify's making it easier for small business to get online, and they can also sell on Amazon through their Shopify platform. So, as far as Amazon's concerned, people should open up as many Shopify stores as possible, right? In terms of the spending, look, this company will probably grow about 50% this year, right? That's a big number, and you can't do that by not spending. So I think that as long as they are kind of cash flow neutral or generating a little bit of cash, I think the investors are okay watching them continue to invest and to grow the business.
And then, speaking of the stock, how should investors look at a company that has such a huge move in actual stock price? And they joke at the company that sort of from the BlackBerry playbook, if anybody's caught looking at the stock price during work hours, they got to buy Timbits for staff. But, it's hard in Canada to find big growth stories, and this has been one of the obvious ones.
Right. I mean, I know some people are offended by the valuation, and it's tough to stomach. I mean, right now it's trading at 22 times sales. That's a very, very big number. I mean, if you look at Square, for example, which is kind of in a similar sort of sector, it's trading at 10 times. So it is a high multiple stock. But, again, this company will do about $1.5 billion in revenue this year. That's up 50% year over year. It's a software company, right? So those are high margin revenue dollars. And I think we're on track to do kind of 40% again next year. So you're paying for the growth. There's not a lot of companies that can grow at that pace. And I would say the other thing is that I think what people are seeing, what a lot of the investors are seeing, is that this company's competitive position is virtually unassailable. Like, who can take them down? And the answer right now is nobody. They are the dominant platform. I think they're going to stay the dominant platform. And so they could completely dominate this market as we go forward.
And so you've got a buy rating on this stock right now. And then the interesting thing about Shopify, and a lot of Canadian companies, I feel like over the last couple of years there have been some high-profile examples where short sellers, oftentimes short sellers in the United States, will target a Canadian company. Shopify fell into that boat, and then they responded. I wonder if it battle-tested the business to a certain degree as well.
I don't think it impacts the business at all, right? I mean, it impacts the stock. Obviously, if you have a high-profile short coming out with a report, it'll impact the stock. I mean, obviously, anybody that's shorted the stock has lost a lot of money. I think that they'll continue to do so. As far as the business goes, I think the short reports have no impact whatsoever. And I think that all they've done is highlight how strong the fundamentals for this company are.
Yeah. Gus, you've been covering the technology industry for a long time in this country. You watched the rise and fall of Nortel.
Right.
We're watching BlackBerry work on its next act. How do you feel about Shopify in terms of having a large, big technology company that sort of represent? I mean, they're becoming more influential on the TSX, and but so much attention on them.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's good and as of right now, again, the reason I'm so bullish on Shopify is that I look at the competitive landscape and I really can't see who can threaten them. Now, you could have said that about BlackBerry in kind of 2004, right? Competitive landscapes change, but as of right now, I think they are by far the dominant player, and I don't see any challenges. But I think it's not just Shopify. I mean, there's a lot of strong little companies. Like Kinaxis is a great company, right? Lightspeed has the potential of being a great company, and there's been quite a few private financings of Canadian tech companies with valuations of well over $1 billion. So I think the industry is healthy, and that's a good thing, I think, for the market, for the TSX, and for this country.
And a reminder that there are different pockets of the country where you're seeing technology stories, Ottawa, Montreal, et cetera. A final question about the retail landscape. Yesterday we heard from the former head of Hudson's Bay, who just talked about how there are too many malls, noticeably in the United States, but maybe we're still overstored in Canada as well. Whereas this is a company in Shopify that is focusing on e-commerce. And there are a lot of Canadians that actually still aren't doing the bulk of their shopping online, which is kind of amazing. We talk so much about it. Does that add to your thesis on Shopify?
Well, absolutely. I mean, you know, one of the reasons Shopify is so successful is that they're going where the consumers are going. And the consumers used to be in the downtown core, they moved to the suburbs and the malls, and now they're increasingly online, right? And so merchants have to be where the consumers are. And Shopify is allowing merchants to be there and generate revenue from the consumers.